Welcome in. We are live on the Believe in Monsters podcast. Yeah, dial it in, Chris. We're right here live on the Believe in Monsters podcast, a part of the Believe Network. Joe Gaither, Chris Krogman, and Lucas Berry all hanging out with you guys to talk some Chicago Bears for the next roughly an hour or so, talking final cuts as the Bears have gotten down to 53 players on their roster. Our Bears are now 3-0 in the preseason, and it's all eyes on the San Francisco 49ers. So we're here to break it all down. Give us a follow on the Twitter machine at BIM_pod or right there on Facebook at Believe in Monsters. Follow my friend Chris Krogman at Shy Bears 1985 and Lucas Berry at LBerry_40. And you can follow me at Joe Gaither6 if you want to follow any of our crazy content, tweeting out about the Bears and our other sports loves. Gentlemen, we're 3-0 preseason. We're right on track to 17-0. We've cut down to 53 men on the roster. Chris Krogman, how are we feeling tonight?
Joe, I am feeling phenomenal. I am so excited to talk to you two fine gentlemen this evening, discuss how our Bears are just so amazing. And the last preseason game was electric. I think we saw Luke Getsy kind of play call a little bit more in line with what he's going to do in the real season. I thought one interesting thing I heard earlier was David Montgomery took 20 of the 22 starter snaps. So I don't think he is going to be pressed much by Herbert this year. Feeling great. Lucas Berry, drinking a burr. Got a little, no, that's not beer. What is that, wine? It's dark.
It's just a Pepsi tonight.
A Pepsi, my ass.
It is, I swear.
It doesn't matter. We don't know.
It's almost sober October. Just kidding. I just made that up.
No, they do, like Joe Rogan and them do a sober month, but what is it? Is it sober October? Is it sober November? Or...
I don't know.
They do 1 month where they go sober, but whatever. Anyway, how are you?
Dry July, dry January. I think it's dry July.
Who cares? Now that's the best time to drink in the winter months. Well, I was telling Chris I'm going to start brewing an October beer here soon. Hopefully it'll be ready toward the end of the month and toward the Thanksgiving time. Seems pretty cool. I can present it in a pumpkin keg or something creative like that. Be cool to slap down on the table.
Where are you going to get a pumpkin keg?
I saw them on the internet.
Really?
Yeah.
Fancy.
They sell everything on the internet, don't you?
Yeah, Chris.
Old man.
Do you know how to keg your own beer? Like that seems like a whole nother layer of beer making.
I don't know.
This is your second batch, right?
Third
Third
batch. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm confident it will come out well, though. Confidence is key. As for the Bears, that preseason game was awesome. I hear you guys. It's just preseason, as all the people who want to keep the Bears fans quiet will say, but it was refreshing to see the starters play a full half. It was refreshing to see the starters dominate a full half. When was the last time we've seen an offensive performance like that, guys? When was the last time we've seen a quarterback Mitch. Had to have been Mitch.
Mitch and his 48 touchdowns or 7 or 8 touchdowns or whatever Joe keeps telling me it is. Which
I was at that game.
It was 6
TDs. I was at that game. But yeah, that was awesome.
Damn. Love it. It was awesome.
Getsy opened up the playbook. Guys were flying around. And today we got roster cuts. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's dive right in. Joe, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well so far. Winding down the day. It's week 1 for college football season, so oh gosh, I'm stressing out about all the work things that got to go on for Alabama football. They're going to have a cake game this weekend, but
who are they playing this week? The Citadel.
St. Mary's School for the Blind.
They might as well be. They're playing Utah State, the Aggies.
That's actually not a bad opening match. It's not
really
like an
is.
Don't
FCS.
lie. All the
Well-
this team went 11-3 last year. They won the Mountain West, where the Bama's favored by 40. So whatever.
40.
I hope they get their dicks kicked in the way you just said that. But either way,
Bama,
yeah, Bama.
Great. I hope it's somewhat interesting. That would be fun for me. But I'm all facing forward to 9/11, trying to see little Bears 49ers, because I don't know. I am becoming that Bama fan that I hate, except for the Bears. Okay, we can do this. 3-0 in preseason. We can go get that 9, 10, 11 win mark. They're well coached. They're dominating on offense. They've got little pieces. Your boy Cole Kmet looks like he might be a big time baller, Chris Krogman. So and all my friends subsequently remind me, well, the 0-16 Lions were undefeated in preseason too. So trying to keep me down to earth. But I'm pretty pumped. I'm excited for what we're doing here.
See, think back of like the preseason teams that went 3-0. Like, how'd their starters play? How did they get to 3 or 4-0? Did they win in the second half when it was just garbage time and it was literally grocery baggers and insurance salesmen playing against each other? In Bears' previous letdown seasons, you got an uneasy feeling in the preseason if you were honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Watching
100%.
some of the 19 and 20 years and 21 years, it was like, this isn't looking so good. And everybody's like, oh, it's just preseason. It's just preseason. And now everybody is looking good. And they're like, it's just preseason. It's just preseason. So make up your minds, man. It can't be both. I mean, I can.
Process. It's about the process.
Right. And they look great.
Looks good.
Well, that's the thing. From week to week, if you look at that first week preseason game to this final week, I mean, they really started clicking on offense, the first team, and it was just fun to watch. It was fun to watch and know that these guys are being coached well, minimal penalties, a lot that you really want to see. Yeah, I get it. Clowney and Garrett weren't playing, and, whatever. The pass rush wasn't getting to Fields, so that somehow turned into a knock on him this week that he had a clean pocket, God forbid. So the line actually did its job. I get it. They didn't have their star pass rushers, but the process looked good. The decision-making looked good. The coaching looked good. Those are things we can build on going into week one. And, I've talked about it before. I'm confident the Bears can stay in this game with the 49ers and keep it close with them. I don't know if they'll necessarily win, but I've said it before. I like Bears +7 in this game to keep it close versus Lance in his first game.
Jimmy's going to start. I'm kidding. It's still going to be.
That would be funny. That would be funny.
That was a weird thing that happened, is that they signed Jimmy G to it's a 6.5 year 1 year contract, or $6.5 million 1 year contract, but it can go up to $16 million if he hits, performance enhancers, which I don't know. Him and his agent must feel pretty confident that he's gonna get some PT.
I mean, just from a football fan's perspective, you got to think the 49ers have a Super Bowl caliber team, and they are not going to hitch their wagon to essentially a rookie quarterback this year. So it'll be interesting to monitor, but that's gotta create an interesting locker room dynamic with the guy who's hasn't been, I don't know if it was on his doing or the 49ers, he hasn't been participating in camp. They kind of told him to just stay away while the trade process plays out, and now he's back. So it's like, that's interesting.
Very, very interesting. But I agree.
I mean, the pressure's on Lance too. I mean, it turns that thing up to 20 on him. He's got to go out and perform right away.
Well, and the bread and butter of the San Francisco game is, the running game, but they have offensive line issues as well. They don't have, a dominant offensive line over there in San Francisco. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Bears defense matches up with the San Francisco offense. But we're getting on a little bit ahead of ourselves. So
where do you want to really start? Do you want to go back to last week's preseason game and kind of get into that, or you want to go ahead and talk about the roster?
We can talk about last preseason game a little bit.
Lead his father. Justin Fields, 14 of 16 for 150, 155 or so.
Boy, he looked good.
3 touchdowns, looked calm in the pocket. He made a couple guys miss. He was using his legs to pass.
The eyes downfield, man. That's the eyes downfield is what is my favorite thing that Fields does, where he'll have a chance to run, scramble for 7 to 10 yards, but he'll take it outside, and if he has no one on his tail, he'll keep looking until he sees his guy, which I just absolutely love that out of Fields. We saw the play where he threw was it Komet that he directed into the end zone?
Yeah.
That was nice to see. And my favorite pass that he threw was to Dante Pettis across the field in the little corner. I think Dante Pettis had himself a nice game, earned himself a roster spot. So just interesting dynamic there. I mean, I don't know. Fields really is looking like that dude that will have success even with limited weapons, or weapons that many would consider underrated.
My favorite pass was the first touchdown to Griffin, right between 2 defenders. That was a great throw. Clean pocket.
Don't be sleeping on Dante Pettis now. That's been my guy. And he's showing out. Not showing out like superstar level, but he's showing to be an adequate little receiver.
And he looked good in the punt return game too. He looks reliable. And it's actually ironic that all of our guys technically made the team. I like Tajay. He made it. N'Keal Harry made it. He's on the IR. So the Bears are letting these guys play. It'll be fun to see who really, best case scenario, one of these guys just balls out this year and earns himself a longer deal with us.
Definitely.
Was there anybody? I only really watched the first half because that was when our starters were in there. But what do we think about the offensive line? Because it seemed like they were getting out there bullying some guy, bullying in the running game, opening up the play for Darnell, but for David Montgomery. And Chris and Luke, you already touched on how they protected Fields. I know no Clowney or Garrett, but is this offensive line also kind of doing what the wide receiver group is doing, where had a lot of misfit toys, but it's kind of looking like they might be coming together?
I think the more time they get together, the more improvement we'll see out of this group. Plus, almost everybody on this team is young and hopefully is improving. I look for the other word, but anyway, Chris Morgan is doing a great job kind of building these guys up and developing the talent that he has on that group. I think they did great. They did great as far as protecting Fields. I mean, you got to dominate the guy across you, or you got to play well against the guy across you, regardless of who that is. Now, if they'd have looked bad against backups, then we'd have heard a whole different narrative, right? So the cohesion is going to be the biggest thing for me. And I've spoke on that for, at least 2 weeks now. And we've seen it now for pretty much 2 weeks in a row with the starting five the way it is across, Jones, Whitehair, Mustipher, Jenkins, and Borum. Borum starting to, kind of settle into that right tackle play a little bit better. So, yeah, thought they did well. I agree. Misfit toys coming together, making a pretty one.
I think Tevin Jenkins is really starting to step into his own at guard. Even with his kind of limited experience, I saw some really good things out of him in the run game. There was one play where the holding call actually, he did some damage on that play, getting to the second level and taking JOK for a ride there. One of the Browns starting secondary members. So really been like what I've seen out of Tevin. Obviously when Fields took the late hit again for whatever, I don't know why that guy, I don't think the refs would have threw a flag there unless the Bears started that scuffle. I actually think they helped draw that flag, but Jenkins and his teammates were right there to defend him, which was nice to see. And he kind of just sets the tone for the line. And we've talked about it before, but it's just something this line hasn't had.
The other guy
in a
in the
really
mix
long
in that,
time.
the other guy in the mix in that scuffle was Mustafa. So
I was gonna say, yeah.
No, obviously we bang on Sam a lot for his overall offensive line talent, but people cannot let this guy get beat up by the other team and taken advantage of. I would think that Eberflus is the kind of coach that wouldn't allow that kind of shit. So yeah, Tevin or Mustafa or Whitehair, hit somebody, man. Just blast somebody. Get yourself thrown out of a game if you have to, or get a penalty the next drive. But make them pay if they're going to touch Justin illegally and try to hit him while he's on the ground or helmet to helmet hits.
So while we're talking about the offensive line here, this is probably a good launching pad. Today we had some quotes about, from Matt Eberflus about Lucas Patrick's return, and he said he wouldn't rule out Patrick coming back and playing guard. So that raises the question: if Patrick plays guard, what the hell is happening with the offensive line? I'm assuming, this is just pure speculation.
Whitehair plays center.
Well, my speculation is he can't play center if he has a cast on. He can't snap the ball, right? I'm not speculating that someone's getting traded, but yeah, what exactly happens? Do you think
Whitehair plays center? Jenkins stays. Everybody else stays where they are. You bump Mustafa to the bench.
What do you think, Chris? I don't think they would take Mustafa out of that.
I hate Cody Whitehair, the center. Can't stand him. Can't stand him. He can't snap the fucking ball in a shotgun to save his life. So I do not approve. I would rather deal with Sam Mustafa. Look, like I said last year, the way that Sam Mustafa has been used, you're not protecting a guy that doesn't have a strong anchor. So take two guys that do, and Cody Whitehair and Tevin Jenkins, and help Mustafa out, or move the pocket, or do more outside zone where Mustafa is in motion. He's an athletic, smaller center. He can't anchor for shit. We all know that, but there are ways to be okay with Sam Mustafa, and a lot of people that are much smarter at O-line evaluation than I am have said he has looked better this preseason than in previous years, which could be a testament to Chris Morgan, could be a testament to this coaching staff in general, or the system. So I think, Lucas, you hit it on the head with the cast and him not being able to snap the ball. That doesn't mean he's coming in and playing right away. He could just be saying, I wouldn't rule him out playing guard if we need him. He's just putting a pretty gray statement out there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think they probably think that Lucas Patrick probably is one of their better linemen, speculatively. And I think they would probably they'd probably try and move Jenkins back out to tackle if that was the case, and put Bourne back in this swing position. But again, I really have no idea. Kind of just caught me off guard when I saw that, but I guess it makes sense, if Patrick is casted up or whatever. But they would definitely have to make a decision somewhere, and someone would be out of a position / playing a different position than they are currently. Why
wouldn't you, and this might be ignorance, but why don't you just allow Lucas Patrick more time to let everything heal, or leave everything kind of as it is as it's been for the last couple weeks, and let him heal enough until he's ready to play center and snap the ball?
That's kind of what I'm saying with, he just comes in as a backup guard, if emergency guard, if need be. I think you're right, Joe. I think they do give him time to fully heal before they put him back at center or in the starting lineup.
The one thing I thought in that quote was kind of interesting was that Eberflus was kind of just mentioning, putting the best players on the best linemen out there. And just if you look back at how Lucas Patrick has played, he's over his career has actually been a much better guard than he has a center. So that's just an interesting nugget in this whole equation. So I don't know. Maybe, if they're just trying to get him out there, they really view him. He was their top kind of free agent lineman signing. I don't know. But it's definitely something to monitor, I think, especially leading up to week 1 to see how they address it. The other quotes, the Tevin Jenkins quotes we'll get into. He's been being asked some pretty bizarre questions and had some, I guess, just really straightforward answers, but kind of leaves everyone else scratching their head a little bit more here. Chris, do you don't have those quotes up in front of you, do you, by any chance? Looking for it right now.
It's
Hey Luke, do you plan on being where you live right now? Do you plan on being in your job right now? Are you comfortable in your job at the moment?
Yeah, bizarre questions. That's it's kind of like the gist of it, right?
So Tevin Jenkins was asked if he was confident that he'd be on the roster on opening day in 12 days. He said, "That's not for me to decide. That's up to them. However they want to put it, or however they want to answer that. You want me to have a home. You want me to bear where you want to have a home. You want to be where you are. Uncertainty about where you're going to be is always uneasy. You go home wondering whether or not you're going to be in the same place tomorrow or not. So for me right now, it's a little uneasy." So, that's one quote. That was Dan Wiederer posted that on Twitter. Not sure. It doesn't sound like he's the one that was asking the question, because it says he was asked that. So that could have just been one of these other, local guys asking questions after the Ian Rappaport report last week or earlier in the week that said something along the lines of he and Alex Leatherwood were still, on the trade block. But to me, the words that Ian Rappaport used were like, "It's certainly possible that he could move." Well, fucking shit. It's certainly possible that the world could end tomorrow. That's the most gray, blasé bullshit I've ever heard. It just feels like you're digging a narrative, but, to some of our friends' credit that do know a little bit more about the reporting, Rappaport and Schefter vet their shit a lot. So it's not nothing. But another question from that Courtney Cronin posted. She is from ESPN. Jenkins said, "I was even wondering today because I wasn't sure about my future at all right now. Ultimately, I still can't feel certain right now. It's just about attacking every day." She asked Jenkins how he'll compartmentalize all the uncertainty and focus on week 1. He said, "Yeah, I need to do that. It's really hard. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it right now and trying to get past what happened and trying to look forward to the season." What happened? Are you just talking rumors, bro? Because part of me in that scenario, that's a kind of an immature answer. Oh yeah, I need to do that.
You just told him, dude, you can't play tackle in this league. Sorry. And then I don't know. He's asking, he's saying, get around what happened. There had to have been some sort of communication breakdown that led to, obviously, well, trade me then, or we're going to trade you if you keep being a little baby about this. Some sort of a breakdown from one side or the other, maybe both, maybe both. Mm-hmm. Easily, the Bears are not without fault here. Mm-hmm. It could be both, but at this point, he's right. He's got to get past it. He's got to move on, and the team's got to help him move on by making him comfortable playing guard. Maybe they just told him that your lower body, you ain't good enough. You're not good enough you're not long enough, whatever the case may be, physically to play tackle in our system. And maybe that upset it. I don't know. I'm speculating. Maybe they said, "Hey, you're just not being tough enough. You got to toughen up." because there was talk about him not being tough. There was talk about him maybe not working through a back injury efficiently enough. So I don't know, but there was obviously communication breakdown on both sides, or one side or the other, enough to have some hurt feelings. And then you got these trade rumors come out, which I think are stupid. I think Chris or Luke, you mentioned it in our chat a couple days ago. If you're not getting a second round pick for him, then you're losing major value. So you just need to hold on tight and try to make it work. You saw what kind of happened with some of the linemen getting cut today. I know that Alex Leatherwood hasn't played well for the Raiders, not at tackle really, nor at guard, but they were shopping him around trying to trade, and nobody wanted to trade for him. Like, these teams make good evaluations. These teams are not going to take big risks on players trading away assets. So I think you keep him, and I'm happy that he's on the roster today after 3:00. I'm really happy, to be honest, and I hope that he's a mainstay. I don't give a bleep if he plays guard or tackle. If he's one of your best 5 offensive linemen, get him out there and get him protecting fields, get his nastiness out there, find whatever buttons you need to press to get him engaged, and let's get into the season together.
Yeah, I think this whole thing is just, I don't know, it's just bizarre to me. Like you said, we really don't know what started all this. We're speculating that it was the move from tackle to guard that maybe pissed him off, or he gave him some attitude or whatever. But yeah, I get and appreciate these honest quotes he has. But then for me, it just creates more questions. Like, if this was an issue that was in the past, I would have really liked to hear him say, we squashed that bug. We're past that. I'm playing guard. But he's still kind of leaving that door open, which to me, I feel like you can interpret many ways. You can say, oh, yeah, he's being honest and candid. 2, you can say he's being dramatic about the situation and kind of, playing this out more like, oh, woe is me. Like, I don't know what's going on. They're still trying to trade me. I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like if it's in the past, he should have squashed it. It kind of sounds like he still has some kind of issue with the Bears. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's being dramatic. I don't know if there's actually an issue there. I don't know.
It would have been real cool, and I mean, I guess this is too behind the curtain, but it really would have been real cool if he'd have said, we had a disagreement about my position, or
that's what I'm saying.
We had a disagreement about my disposition, or me and the coach just weren't seeing eye to eye on X or Y or Z. And, maybe we're still, even if you're still working through it, cool. But like, I don't know. And maybe I'm asking for too much, but it'd be cool for him to just say, this is what the issue was. And yeah, I'm still not 100% comfortable with whatever it was, but here we are, and bear down.
Yeah, we're working through it or something. He kind of still makes it sound like they're walking on eggshells together, which as a fan or reporter makes you feel uneasy as all hell. And I mean, they don't really owe anything to us really at the end of the day, but it just leads to more speculation the longer this goes on like this. So, if you don't want to feel like, you're going to get cut from the roster or whatever, someone needs to say something that like, this is it. I'm the right tackle. He's the right tackle. Poles, Jenkins, anyone needs to come out and just squash the bug. Can't keep letting this go on.
Olin needs to get his insider hat on and break this for us. That's going to be his step back into the media.
I think they need to get Kyle Long to go talk to him.
Ooh, yeah.
I think we're on to it. I mean, I do think he's probably pissed off that they moved him to guard, but I would just, I don't know.
If you guys remember, like in early August, he had a press conference, or he was one of the players they talked to at camp. He talked about his back injury. He talked about what he was doing to get it better, everything from like Pilates to like core strengthening, shit like that. He was asked about the move to right tackle, and he said that this was after Reef was brought in. So he was asked if he would have a legitimate opportunity to win a starting job, and he said, I believe so. And when answering a follow-up question about why he believes that, Jenkins said that he believes in himself. Back in May, he was asked about moving to right tackle. He said, "It feels good. It's where I've mostly played in college. It is comfortable. It is right. I look forward to keep getting reps at right tackle." And then they asked him if that was going to be his role moving forward. And he said, "From my understanding, right now it is." And later would chime in with, "I'll play wherever they need me. Get in where you fit in." So, and then his final quote from May was, "For me, it's all about earning trust and earning their belief that I deserve to be on this team still. I'm working for that trust. That's ultimately what I'm doing. Putting more of that trust that they have into me will make me feel more comfortable, and I'll start playing more comfortable, I guess. Ultimately, the answer to that is I'm working for that trust." Those are good answers. Those are the kind of answers that guys get taught how to answer questions, but it actually sounds pretty genuine and almost kind of, I don't know, hillbilly-ish. But I like Tevin Jenkins' talent. I like his nastiness. He hasn't played a shit ton of guard, and he's already kind of looking pretty talented in that position at right guard. If he's still pissed off about being moved inside, he's got to get over it, because this is your chance to start on an NFL team and contribute significantly and bully people. That's what you want to do, and that's what's going to happen at right guard. And if you're worried about getting paid or some shit like that, or like the status of guard versus tackle, fucking be humble, you know? And then, finally, if this is what's going on when he's not comfortable in the situation and he is looking pretty talented, hopefully by, in a couple weeks, if he is still on this roster, which, man, nobody has a fucking clue on this podcast whether or not he's actually being shopped or not. I mean, it doesn't feel like he is, especially after they released Michael Schofield today. Now, he could come back, but to me, that kind of signals that they're not moving Jenkins anywhere. So he should feel more comfortable. He should nut up, and he should be humble.
I guess on a concluding thought on this topic, do you think his quotes from today, do you think he's just being dramatic about the situation?
I think he's being asked very fucking stupid questions by a media that we don't really know. Like, I mean, who knows what? Like, Courtney's a good reporter. Who knows who asked him the other shit?
He's still only 24 years old,
I don't know.
He's just young and immature a little bit.
Well, to me, I read into this quote, like, regardless of whether we think the questions that were asked were stupid or not, they still gave us good quotes that we're talking about now. I just personally, when I read those, I feel like he's kind of being dramatic about the situation and trying to get people to be like feel bad for him or something. Like, I feel like there's a lot of other ways he could have been like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that," or like, "I'm here to stay." It seems like they're still kind of walking on eggshells, and he's kind of just like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow." Like, it's just kind of strange to me. That's just how I'm reading it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there's an element to that, but there's also just an element of honesty to it. But
even that, though, that's kind of scary if you think about it. Just like, why hasn't this been cleared up yet? Like, there's absolutely no reason they should be trying to trade him.
Well, then whose fault is that then? I mean, is that the Bears camp? Like Joe said, no fault. There's two sides of every story. I mean, why haven't they gave him that comfort level? I mean, if or is his agent telling him he's still on the trading block? Who knows? I mean,
the situation's just bizarre to me. It's very.
I mean, like I said,
weird.
like Rappaport doesn't just
say
random shit, right? He's not Dan Orlovsky, but
cool.
I just wanted to fucking throw that in because he's been taking a world of shit. But if you're listening, Dan, which we know you are, you're fine.
No, you're not.
But it's there's something there. Obviously, where there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing is what I'm thinking. But hopefully, it works itself out. I mean, we got 12 days until the regular season kickoff, and hopefully he's there at right guard because I don't want to go into the season with I honestly don't want Patrick to start that game after not practicing for fucking months.
I guess that's my overlying point of all this is that we're less than 2 weeks away from our first game. This is not the shit I want to be hearing about today. Is Tevin Jenkins still worrying about if he's going to be traded or cut? Like, cut the shit. The Bears or Jenkins needs to say sorry. They need to fucking move on and say everything's good. I'm here to stay or I'm not. Either you're in or you're out.
I just thought of something. So one of the stories back in early training camp was like something about him like not being motivated or something like that, right? What if this is just their motivator? Like, we're gonna trade you. Show us something. And then he shows them something, and they're like, all right, finally. And then they're like, I don't know. Still kind of, you better show a little bit more. Next thing you know, he's a Pro Bowl guard this year. And
I guess he'll be on thin ice till week 8 then.
Yeah, fucking get it together, Tevin.
And then he'll go off a cliff in week 9.
Lucas, don't you know people that knows this dude? Can't you get him on the podcast? We can ask him some really stupid questions.
I know his college teammate, the kicker. I think he kicked for the Texans the other day, actually.
All right.
Preseason.
All right. Well, if I'm
Amendola.
a starting right guard, my best friend is usually the kicker. So let's get those guys together.
Hey, kickers are people too.
I didn't say they weren't people. I just said, well, if they're punters from San Diego State, are they really people?
No.
Made a bad name for kickers there.
We got we got the best punter in the draft.
Best punter in the draft, T. Gill, booming. All right, let's get the F off of this Jenkins story and move on to this roster since we are almost 40 minutes in and haven't really touched on it a little bit. So obvious one out the way, QB. There's 2 of them. Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian, Peterman let go, potentially could come back on the practice, could potentially come back on the practice squad. Nothing to really talk about here. Justin looks great.
Simeon's a good backup.
I'll tell you this though, good teams only carry 2 quarterbacks.
And 2 fullbacks.
I was looking forward to. He's not a fullback.
He's a fullback.
He's not a fullback. He's an
H-back.
That's not a fullback.
But think about the years where we were floating with 2
H-back stands for half.
Mitchell and Andy Dalton and Nick Foles and just good teams only carry 2 quarterbacks that are confident in what they're doing.
Anyway, Lucas wants to pump up his high school position. Good for you.
Hey man, go for it.
Running back, fullback, there are 5. David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Treston Ebner, Kari Blossengame, and Jake Tonges, or Tongus, whatever you want to say, who played tight end at Cal and is now going to be some sort of gadget material for Luke.
He's playing the JP Holtz position.
JP Holtz didn't have this position because we didn't have this offensive scheme.
They did. They ran the I formation for a few weeks, and JP Holtz played tight end and fullback. JP.
Some of the best 2 weeks of our lives.
So that's interesting. I mean, do most rosters carry 5 running/fullbacks?
I would say
Seems
4 running backs is pretty. We've had 4 running backs pretty standard, and then have had a fullback / 3rd or 4th tight end depending on the year. Before, it's not completely unheard of. If depending on what you look at Jake Tonges as in all reality, in all seriousness, if you look at him as a fullback, then having 2 fullbacks is a little different. If you look at him as a hybrid tight end, H-back, fullback, move around the backfield and catch balls, then I don't think it's that different because they're only carrying 2 tight ends.
Right.
So Kmet and Ryan Griffin are the 2 tight ends, and then essentially Tongas will be the other tight end in. But they did cut Ryan O'Shaughnessy or whatever. Is that his name?
Yeah.
That's interesting because he had a pretty good camp, pretty good preseason from, other accounts of, the Twitter world. So him getting cut and them keeping Tongas, it is interesting to me.
Well, I think you kill multiple birds with one stone. You got, obviously, he can play tight end. He can play fullback. He played wide receiver in college, and then he also plays special teams. So you're getting a guy that's pretty multiversed in a bunch of different things you're trying to do. So, yeah, I guess I could see why they wanted to keep him. Good find, too. I mean, he was an undrafted free agent, so that is something we like to see. Those kind of guys make the roster as opposed to recycled vets.
Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife. Yes, sir.
As far as wide receivers go, we have Darnell Mooney, I had it the other day. Equanimous St. Brown, Byron Pringle, Velas Jones Jr., Dante Pettis, Tajay Sharp, and N'Keal Harry.
Hey, let me remind you, Darnell Mooney is only a 5th-round pick, guys. He's only a 5th-round pick.
So is tackle. Anyway.
Braxton Jones.
It's another Orlovsky fucking faux pas. So any surprises here, fellas? They're carrying 7. Harry is most likely going on the injured reserve for 6 weeks. Any shockers here? I think Ian Coulter was the only one I saw that people were claiming could potentially make this team. He'll probably end up on the practice squad as long as he makes it through waivers.
Yeah, no real shockers there. I think Coulter was the only one that could have potentially made it, but with Harry going to IR, they will have an extra spot potentially. So we'll see. The Bears probably have claimed 7 in the order, and I know the big name wide receiver that's out there right now is the guy the Bucks cut.
Tyler Johnson.
Chris Godwin?
I wish.
They cut Chris Godwin.
Tyler Johnson did look pretty good, though, in his limited snaps there. So we'll see if the Bears are interested in that. If not, they should have an extra spot for a waiver claim with Harry going on IR.
They should pick up wide receiver in a tight end's body, O.J. Howard.
No.
Explain to me why. Tell me why.
He's had a shot with now 2 different teams. Here's the deal. O.J. Howard, while he was here at Bama, it was all, this is the game. This is the guy. He's the athletic freak. Oh, man, he's going to be a weapon over the middle. Yada, yada, yada. It was the same way in Tampa Bay. And I don't know what it is that, I used to just say, here at Bama, we're just not using him right. Well, at Tampa, they're just not using him right, Well, and he's cut by the Bills. Basically because they say he's still slow and still coming off an injury. I mean, as much as I'm Roll Tide, I don't know if he's worth bringing in. I think that maybe this dude is just, workout warrior. Looks good in a pair of underwear.
I don't care who they bring in personally. I think they should bring in another pass catcher. If it's a tight end or a wide receiver, so be it. I just think another pass catcher option would be nice.
I mean, I'd love to be wrong. That'd be cool. Bring him in. Give me another Bama guy to root for. Have him do well.
So our good friend Raul Bennington is a big O.J. Howard fan.
That tells me not that he's that tells me he's
doesn't tell you shit. It tells you that it's probably a bad idea, but
it tells me I'm exactly right in my feeling.
Well, yeah, that's not a bad point. But before Brady came in, O.J. Howard had 432 yards, 565 yards, and 459 yards on 39, 48, and 53 targets for 16 yards a catch. 16 yards a catch out of a tight end is pretty damn good. in my opinion, and he is athletic and he is good, but I have seen some just piss poor games out of him before and him drop like wide open passes. So I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's interesting to me that like I didn't think he and David Njoku were that different in their production in the league, and Njoku got a ridiculous contract. So I don't know shit. It's very possible, but I don't think I don't know shit. I think I know a little bit. And
we could ask our scouting friend what he thinks of him.
Which one?
The Jets.
Raul.
Oh my gosh.
Raul played ball, dude. He played with what's his name? Who's that
Sam
guy?
Hurd.
Thank you. He played with Sam Hurd.
Raul played high level football?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Jeez.
He played corner. Anyway, no, I don't.
I just want to remind everybody who don't follow this guy on Twitter. This guy was begging us to sign Cam Newton. Begging us to sign Cam Newton the year that he was basically a trash can for the Patriots. Like this.
Come on now. Be nice. Be nice to our friend Raul.
Why? Let's be honest. Nice is fine, but let's be honest.
Dude, if you're gonna bring up Raul's downside to like following him on Twitter, that ain't it, man. It ain't the football takes. Okay?
No, you're right. It's he likes promiscuous women on Twitter, which is fine. Like people do that as well. That's fair warning.
So, do we like? In all honesty, do we really think like, even if Harry goes to IR, and you use that extra spot not to bring back anybody you already cut, so Schofield or somebody else, wide receiver would be at 6 at that point. Are you saying you would add Tyler Johnson as a 7, or would you cut somebody else for Tyler Johnson? Lucas, last year you had a wide receiver you liked off the cuts that we picked up. I don't have a clue who that is now. Went to the Bucks and ended up on the Bucks. Who was that? And actually did well.
Oh, Perryman.
Yeah, Bernard Perryman. Yeah. So you feeling Tyler Johnson over Mooney, ESB, Pringle, Jones, Pettis, or Sharp? Probably Pettis or Sharp when it comes down to it.
Well, I have to be honest. I don't really know what ESB has done this preseason. I know he knows Getsy's system, but I feel like he has done absolutely nothing out there.
I've seen at least 2 catches. He was wide open on one of the fields.
He's like an effort guy, he'll block for you. But I mean, outside of knowing Luke Getsy, I don't know why he's on the team. That's besides the point. I think Tyler Johnson will probably be claimed by the Texans, who only have 4 wide receivers on the roster.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they have like the 2 spot, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
3.
But he's definitely the best receiver out there.
Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston. Somebody. It's whatever it's the draft order. Is pretty much what it is.
Yeah, if
you can remember the draft order, we are 7, Luke. So whatever. With the Harry move, I think if they bring back Schofield, that puts us at 10 offensive linemen, which I also don't know if they would do that.
Well, they could very well. There's some other offensive linemen that got cut that they might dip into. I don't really know what they're going to do, to be honest.
I don't think they go Leatherwood. I mean, he's almost $7 million.
No, they're not going to pay him.
If he makes it through waivers, that's another story. But I don't know if that's going to happen either. But speaking of O linemen, they kept 9: Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, Jatir Carter, Sam Mustipher, Riley Reith, and Zach Thomas. Any surprises here? Obviously, Schofield was cut. That was the first of the 2 free agents that they brought in later in camp in July. Joe, thoughts?
9 mean people. 9 people that have that I've enjoyed seeing this year. Okay, buddy, hush. Luke, why don't you let us know what you think?
Well, I was actually doing some research real quick, so I forgot the gentleman's name that I wanted to mention to Chris.
All right, I'm back good. If you still need another second, my man just left the room.
If the Bears do pick up a wide receiver, I would like to see them go after Preston Williams, who the Dolphins cut. He's had his moments of fame there. He's almost kind of like N'Keal Harry. He's just a huge athlete. And he actually had some solid time in Miami there for a little bit. He is 6'5". I think he's like 220 pounds. He's pretty fast and athletic, still fairly young. So I would not mind to see the Bears give him a shot if they do sign a receiver that's not Tyler Johnson.
It literally sounds like the rest of the roster.
Yeah.
It sounds like ESB, Pringle, Sharp, and Pettis is what it sounds like.
I think Williams has had
it's okay to have a type.
More success than those guys. I don't know.
Look, I also don't mind this method, okay? Especially in a rebuilding year. Like you said, Lucas, hopefully one of these guys can earn a longer contract this season working with Fields. Pettis, Sharp both had some really good moments in preseason. I think ESB, knows the system, is a try hard, blocks well. That is definitely valued by this coaching staff. You don't just have the hits program on defense. You have to try hard on offense as well. So he fits that mold. He's another Golden Domer. So, lock it in. Joe, earlier I was going to bring up the best college football game of the weekend is Fields versus Komet rivalry. I know we're probably going to get blown out, but not great. Next year I'll feel good about it. We're going to be
good luck. I hope y'all do well.
So did you? Total sidebar. Marcus Freeman, the coach of the Irish, was told what the spread is, and it was up to 17.5, and he was like, "What? What's that number again?" He's like, "All right, we'll put that on the bulletin right away." So Notre Dame's going to come out fighting. I love Marcus Freeman, and I think they've had a fantastic recruiting class for next year, but this year's could be a little bumpy.
You got
still.
any defense?
Next year we do, but we'll see.
That's not going to help you against a stellar Ohio State offensive line.
All right, so sorry, Lucas.
Joe, offensive line. You were talking offensive line, Joe.
No, I'm happy with who they kept. I think you've kept all the guys that have shown that they have potential. All the guys who have shown they can play. You let go of the guy from the Chargers. So, I don't know that there's too many surprises here. The Indiana center, he got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he's out for the year.
Yeah, so that was the only other name that I was kind of looking for, but obviously he's out. So I'm happy with the 9 that they've got.
Yeah, I agree. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball on the line, 8 defensive linemen, pretty typical Bears. 4 DNs, 4 D tackles. Robert Quinn, Justin Jones, Blackson, Gibson, Robinson, Tonga Pennell, and Muhammad. Only one that kind of stuck out here was Mike Pennell. Haven't really seen him a whole lot in preseason or heard much about him. Where are you guys at on these 8 gentlemen?
I was surprised that Edwards got cut. He's kind of one of the remaining guys from the old regime, but honestly, in the preseason, I don't think the D-line played that bad. So, I'm fine with this group. I like that the Bears are getting younger. And, this will be an interesting case study for this group because I really don't know how good they'll be, to be honest. So I'm really interested to see how much, how much heart these guys have, because there's not really any massive names on that D line.
Are we considering Charles Snowden a linebacker or defensive lineman?
The end.
Yeah, see, so he's kind of like that tweener here.
He was cut, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was cut. That's the one that I was a little like, he's showing some promise. He's showing some potential. Maybe he can sneak through waivers and bring him back. But that was a guy that I was a little hopeful for.
I mean, the two guys that were their pressure and sack leaders got cut, Coley and Sam Kamara. Kamara had a really nice preseason. I was a little bit surprised they cut him, but like you said, 8 is kind of a normal number to have, so you got to trim somewhere.
Yeah, I was also surprised about Kamara. I don't know where else unless you don't keep Pennell, if you add, but then that's kind of your 5-3, and you don't have another kind of backup 3, 5 defensive end and 3 defensive tackles. I think Pennell provides that backup 3 for Justin Jones to take some reps. Maybe Blackson. I don't know.
Michael Blackson?
And Antonio?
Yeah, Angelo. Yeah, don't do that. It's just a social media comedian.
Oh, I'm laughing. We are laughing. So yeah, nothing too outrageous here for me. Linebackers are Roquan,
Jack,
Matt Adams, Joe Thomas, Sanborn, and Caleb Johnson.
We don't care about any of those bums except for Jack Sanborn.
I do like Caleb Johnson. I think he's a good special teams player. Jack Sanborn could easily start at some point this year, though. I thought he played fantastic in the preseason, and Wisconsin linebackers are solid in the NFL.
Basically, Edwards, who's the starting linebacker for the Eagles, basically had a similar path to the NFL. Undrafted free agent from Wisconsin, now starting for the Eagles back there, and is probably their best linebacker. So, yeah, something to be said about being a Wisconsin linebacker. They know how to breed them. It's like being an Iowa lineman, unless you're James Daniels.
Fun fact: my high school used the same fight song as Wisconsin, just with different words, obviously. Yep. Jack Sanborn.
It sounds like any college fight song I've ever heard, Joe.
On Wisconsin, plow right through that line. We will fight for red and white. All
right, now.
On Wisconsin is the dumbest slogan I've ever fucking heard, but whatever. Cornerbacks. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Kendall Vildor, Lamar Jackson, Duke Shelley, and Jalen Jones. I don't know who the fucking
3 nasty names.
I don't understand the last 3. I guess Lamar Jackson has showed something in practice, but Duke Shelley, I mean, I don't understand that. Like he must be doing some things or have some things on Virginia or something, or have him on George, because now he's on this regime as well, and nobody sees it. Nobody sees the talent, so I don't get it. And then Jalen Jones, has this dude done anything? Like, who is this dude?
Jalen Jones is a real guy.
Yeah, man. Do you think I'm fucking around?
Yeah, I mean, I think people thought that they had a typo for Jalen Johnson, but no, it's Jalen Johnson and Jalen Jones.
It's Jalon Jones.
Yeah, they're both spelled the same.
Hits. You must love the hits philosophy.
I thought Jalen Johnson was Jaylon.
Well, I gotta say, I am terribly sad to see Thomas Graham.
He'll go through waivers.
He didn't practice or play it down.
Yeah,
it's tough.
And then what's his name?
New regime.
Yeah, I mean, Young too, though. Young was the same thing. I don't know what's going on with that.
Talk about another weird situation, Lucas. You brought that up in the chat. What the fuck's going on with Tavon Young?
Yeah, so the report came out that said he was on the IR for the year, which means if you get put on the IR before the deadline, you can't play at all this year. So the report came out that Young went on IR, so he wasn't going to play for the Bears this year. Obviously, they signed him in the offseason. And then he tweets out like an hour later that he was never notified that he was put on IR. Or he said, I'm not on IR or something like that. The tweet has since been deleted, but now it's like, all right, what the fuck is going on? What are these guys doing? There's been a few bizarre things that have happened where I'm like, what the hell is going on with this new regime? It's weird. It's very weird. I don't think we still know if he's on IR or not.
Oh, let's see. Not from the Bears official, not from their website where they've got a. Oh no. Yeah, from their official website. In the very first paragraph of this, basically moves report. Bears reached a mandatory 53-man roster limit Tuesday by waiving 14 players, terminating the contracts of 8 vested veterans, and placing cornerback Tavon Young on injured reserve. That's right there in the very first paragraph.
Yeah, and then he tweeted out like an hour later that he wasn't on injured reserve.
Well, it sounds like you are, buddy.
Like, what the fuck? Where are they finding these dudes? Why are they even keeping them around if that's the point?
I love it. There's already tons of drama. Now we're going to hear about it tomorrow from Bears Twitter about how loose of a ship Ryan Poles is running.
Ryan Poles having his final roster out at 302.
I really don't see how. I mean, they have to have it cut down by 3:00. So, is it really fucking that hard to put out the rest of the roster in 2 minutes? No.
Yeah, but you saw the comparisons to pace. Putting them out at 5:00, putting them out at 7, putting them out at 6:00. You didn't see those tweets?
I did. I just thought it was stupid. I mean, to me, like,
exactly. Who cares?
I mean, bro.
Reporters are the only ones who care because, like I said, they have to write a story, so they want to know who's going to be on the team so that they can, write their story and whatever and build their narratives and whatnot. But nope. I mean, I don't know. I think corner. If there's a corner out there on the waiver or on the cuts that's intriguing, I'd rather look that direction than wide receiver or offensive line.
Yes.
Yeah, we will see. I think right now Vildor is your starting corner.
F that guy.
So from what people are saying, he's only going to be out. He's only going to be out there for nickel situations, which I understand is going to be 60 to 65% of the time. So it's a majority of the time, but
a lot of it.
That's not technically the starter.
It is in these NFL.
It's not though.
Doesn't matter who's the starter. It matters who gives up the big play. So we'll see. Hey, maybe he can turn it around. I'll be rooting for the guy until I won't be.
No. You'll be rooting against the guy until you.
I want the Bears to win. I just have no faith on him. I've seen it. We've seen it how many times last year where he just got at like.
Quarterback just has to look out and find him and say, "That's my target. This is down."
Yeah, he didn't have.
We'll see. Maybe he'll be
passer rating against, but they said he is better suited for this system.
Yeah.
Cover 2 facing forward, so we'll see.
We will see.
But he just needs to stay in the flats.
That's fine. Guy can actually tackle, unlike Duke fucking Shelley.
Duke says go.
Or Joe's favorite Bama Bear, Eddie Jackson, who leads the safeties, along with Jaquan Brisker, DHC, Elijah Hicks, and Cruikshank. So 5 safeties kept. Any surprises here? Really none for me.
A little bit surprised Elijah Hicks made it.
I mean, would you not have kept a 5th safety altogether, or would you kept a different player?
I mean, I guess I'm just surprised because I feel like he'll basically just be a special teamer. But again, it seems like he fits the hits philosophy well, so I guess it makes sense. I'm happy to see all the rookies make it. I mean, I think it's pretty impressive that they didn't have a single rookie they had to cut outside of the injured center.
Good job, Poles. Good.
But I think he just gets IR'd. But yeah, I mean, they're basically all the rookies made it plus a few UDFAs, so I like that.
And lastly, the special teams unit of 3.
Gary Santos,
Carlos Santos, Trenton Gill, and Patrick Scales are your special teams units.
Major.
So that makes up the 53. We'll run through the numbers one more time. 2 QBs, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 9 O-linemen, 8 defensive linemen, 6 linebackers, 6 cornerbacks, 5 safeties, 3 special teamers, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Beauty. Joe Gaither, sing the song.
We'll still got one more week before the Browns game, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
before the Browns game?
49ers. We just played Brown. Yeah.
The roster's not finalized by any means, so we'll tweet out any updates or changes. There's always a few. First waivers come tomorrow, I believe. So until further notice, bear the fuck down.
Bears fans, sing it with me. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you thrilled the nation. With your T formation, bear down, Chicago Bears. And let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois, Chicago Bears. Bear down.